4 points. James Harden tonight had 4 points. Not in the third quarter, not in the first quarter, not specifically in the fourth quarter. He had 4 points total. That man shot the ball 10 times tonight and ended with 4 points. No foul shots, as I'm sure you can assume and gather from that. That man had 4 points. I don't care that he had double-digit assists. He had 4 points. We just lost to the Sacramento Kings with no De'Aaron Fox and no Bagley. James Harden had 4 points the entire game and attempted to shoot the ball 10 times. He only made it to 10 attempts because at the literal last possession of the game, this man threw up a brick that hit the side of the back of the rim. So really, if you want to keep it all the way that way, he had 9 shot attempts, but that's neither here nor there. Your usual suspects, your usual questionable decisions from Steve Nash. For some reason, Patty Mills is still starting at 3. I mean, just take your pick at the normal generic things we complain about, and you're right. But what I want to make this video about is about James Harden. Because I have been more than kind, I have been more than patient, but we are 51 games into the season and this man is still playing like trash. He's a bum, he's garbage, he's washed, and I've had enough. I don't know what this man's whole thing is of he wants to be Chris Paul so bad. If you want to be Chris Paul, do that in Philly. If you want to be Chris Paul, go back to Houston. If you want to be Chris Paul, go star in State Farm commercials. But we are trying to win a championship, and you scoring 4 points in a game is unacceptable. He is trash. He just is. And there's no amount of sugarcoating it or trying to bubble wrap it. It's over. He is garbage. And I'm not going off this whole thing of, oh, it's because he's not getting the foul calls and all that stuff. No, he attempted to shoot the ball 10 times tonight. Now, y'all are very, very, very new to me. But some individuals from other platforms who are here watching me are aware of the concerns I've had with James Harden since we got this man. When we first acquired him around this time last year, the man had about a month where he refused to score. And I said, something's not right here. But that eventually went away because everyone else was hurt, and it was just like, well, let me just try to make this happen. Because it was championship or bust. They were not in control of injuries, I am well aware, and things went left, and Harden had the heroic Game 5 and 6 and 7 performance where he went out there on a torn hamstring or whatever he called it, grade ACF, whatever. And we appreciate that. We appreciate that from Mr. Harden. He probably shouldn't have been out there, to keep it a bean. And quiet as kept, he's one of the reasons why we lost, because that man was limping out there, bringing the ball up the court in slow motion and just giving the ball to Kevin Durant and standing in the corner. So quiet as kept, he's one of the reasons why we lost in the playoffs. But I know no one wants to go there because it's so taboo. Oh, he was playing hurt. That makes him a hero. He shouldn't have been out there. He shouldn't even been out there. If Steve Nash had a backbone or a spine, he would have demanded that man stayed on the bench and wait until the next round until he was healthy. Mike James was getting his stuff off. Shamet, while he was playing absolutely terrible towards the second half of honestly, the whole second round. This isn't a Landry Shamet tangent, but Harden was one of the main reasons why we lost in the second round. Yes, it is very Jamie Noble of that man to go out there and play when he was hurt, but Jesus, did that hold us back. No one wants to say it. I'm saying it right now. In terms of this season, I've grown irritated with Mr. James Harden. Not just on the court, but it has graduated to off the court shenanigans. Now, my a checkered past, if you will, with Kyrie Irving has been well documented over the course of the internet. Well, now that is shifting over to James Harden, because this man has the audacity, the audacity, to be in post-game interviews talking trash about Kyrie. Oh, wouldn't it be great if Kyrie was there out there every night? I'll give him the vaccine myself. And I didn't say anything because the attention was on Kai. But now that there is nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. Oh, you're getting a whole video, James. You're getting a whole video on you. And I'm keeping it PG. But trust me, I could say more. But I'm actually holding back. It might not seem like it, but I'm actually holding back in this moment. Because there's so much more I want to say about this man, but I can't do that on here. But trust me, on other parts of the internet, I'm letting him have it. But the clean version, this man today after the game, well tonight, because we stayed up late for this tomfoolery, that's the word we're using here on Nets Republic, this man was quoted, and there's a video too, so you can check it out. This man was saying post-game, after we received our 6th straight loss, we are firmly in 6th place now. I believe that's play-in tournament territory, but that's neither here nor there. I said, the ball, you're overreacting, they'll be fine. Really? Anyway, this man was quoted, the representative and leader of our 29-22 team, said when asked, do you think there will be time or a place at this point in the season for a players-only meeting? James Harden replied, we're doing too much talking. It's time to go out there and do it. I want everyone to count with me for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is how many things I have to hold up the Nets Republic banner. And that is also how many points James Harden had. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between at home, I want you to hold up your hand like this. You can do it like this or that, right? Put your thumb down and count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shout out to the disabled, but for everyone else, that is 4. 4 is how many points James Harden had today. So I'm trying to figure out, where does the we come from when he says things like, we need to be more focused, we need to try harder, we need to put more effort on the defensive end, we need to have a starting lineup. What is this we? Now, I know he spent a lot of time in France with Lil Baby, so maybe some of the French culture and language is still spewing from his pores and his beard hole. But I'm curious. Did somebody go in the Wayback Machine 2 generations back on the Nintendo console? Because where did the we come from? This man has the nerve to be screaming at Kyrie Irving in his ear at the end of the game. And Kyrie's just standing there like, I don't even know what this man is talking about. And there's been such weird tension between the two this whole season. And y'all can sit there and say the media is trying to push this narrative that these two don't like each other, but it is as clear as day they don't mess with each other. When we acquired that man, everyone said, now wait a minute. Kyrie's cool with KD, Harden's cool with KD, but Kyrie and James? It insane to me that this man is getting technical fouls for throwing the ball into the stanchion. Bro, at the time he had 2 points in the third quarter. Who are you mad at? This is the same James Harden that would literally go city to city, team to team, dropping 40 and 60-point games on people. We're talking a James Harden that was the MVP, and not controversial Derrick Rose should have been LeBron MVP. And shout out Derrick. Y'all know I love Derrick, but let's keep it a bean. But I'm talking about, they were saying Westbrook didn't deserve the MVP, and it should have went to Harden twice. A back-to-back Jordan 96, 97 on the cover of Lethal Weapon. This is the James Harden we're talking about. We're talking about a James Harden that has so many compilations of this man going to ISO heaven on people's ankles. Like they are running out of songs to use. We'll have to go back in the Wayback Machine and replace the Naruto AMVs with the Linkin Park in the background and put James Harden Houston highlights on it, because that is what that man was cooking down there. We're talking about a James Harden who is on max number 2, which is a carryover from the Houston era. Max contract number 2. James Harden at one point was the most paid athlete in the NBA of all time. We're talking about a James Harden who is number 3 all time in 3-point shooting. Not, 3-point makes. Not so much the percentage, but the makes. 3-point makes. That man is a shooter and a scorer. We're talking about a James Harden who in his mind believes he's better than Giannis. If it's a situation of you don't want to be here, bro, get out. I was going to save this for another venue, but I'm going to say it on here. And if I'm out of line for saying this and the next statement is not a reflection on Nets Republic, it's straight sever the bond, so you can come to me with that. I never wanted him. Ever. There was no point last year when I said, oh God, could we get Harden? I never wanted him. The team was fine before we got him. Now, obviously, the Caris LeVert heart thing and the tumor or whatever it was, I can understand how that worked in the benefit of Caris and his long-term health. But if we exclude that one itty-bitty factor and pretend like he was healthy and assume the Nets would have eventually found it if he wasn't healthy, the team was fine. The issue was KD was always hurt. Kyrie was out there. It was KD that was hurt. Then Kevin came back, and Kyrie was hurt, and he wasn't quite there. Because remember, when we got Harden, Kyrie was hurt. There was inconsistencies with that, and the COVID protocol, and it was in the bubble. Well, it wasn't really the bubble. It was like the you can only have a certain amount of fans in the arena. In fact, I'm trying to remember, I think at that point in the season when we got Harden, I don't even think fans were allowed in the arenas yet. So it was just empty arenas. So we were dealing with all that COVID stuff. Spencer Dinwiddie had just went down. The season was looking wild, but right before we made the trade, Caris LeVert and them had an amazing game. I mean, it was the true turning point, and in the morning we trade for Harden. I stand by, if we would have just given them a chance to gel, Kevin Durant gets back out there, Kyrie comes back from being injured, you still have Caris, you still have Jared Allen, everything would have been fine. I guarantee you, if Kyrie goes down in the playoffs and we have healthy Caris LeVert and healthy Kevin Durant and a Jared Allen who, might I remind everyone, is on a max deal on the Cavaliers. Oh, it's so hard not to curse. I'm trying really hard right now. We would have been just fine. But no, we wanted to trade everything for this man. Then we acquire him. And he's looking pretty good last year up until he gets hurt. But I knew from game 1 this year, and I'm not talking about preseason, I'm talking about the regular season. If I remember correctly, it was Milwaukee, I think. I think we played Milwaukee on their ring night or whatever it was. I could tell we were doomed. When I saw James Harden out there willingly not scoring again and not taking advantage of the weapons he had at his ready and disposal, from your LaMarcus Aldridge to your Blake Griffin to your, I don't know if Claxton was available at the beginning of the season. I feel like he was. To your Claxtons, to your Bruce Browns. And again, it's not like people like Bruce Brown and Claxton and Blake Griffin are these new shiny toys that that Harden just doesn't know what to do with. They were there last year. Like, I can see LaMarcus Aldridge, he was only there for a couple games. I can see if you don't quite know how to utilize him yet due to a lack of chemistry. But a good majority of the team came back. You can't tell me that Bruce Brown has gone from... He was our center at one point last year. And now he is of no use whatsoever offensively? Obviously, Steve Nash is at the top of the food chain for something's not right here. But James Harden, did you just forget what Bruce Brown did? And a lot of Harden fanboys will sit there and defend this man and say, oh, but he made Claxton look like $1 million. You see Claxton had a career high? And lost. I've defended James Harden for long enough. Is it fair that he has to be the coach because Steve Nash is terrible? Absolutely not. But stuff like this is so beyond unacceptable, it's ridiculous. It's annoying when he ends with 14 points, but 4 against the Kings? Now the question remains, what do we do from here? What do we do with this bearded garbage can? And I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I've seen some people say we should trade him. I don't know if I agree with that. That's still James Harden. He's playing like absolute poo. But that's still James Harden. So I don't know. I don't know how you get someone on paper better than Harden. We already have Kevin Durant. So it's like, I don't know who you trade him for to where you say, oh, well, that... I don't have the answer for you. Some people say trade him for Ben Simmons. If you're mad that James Harden only scored 4 points, wait till you get a load of Ben Simmons. I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. Because I don't know who else you can get. Not only is Harden's contract just nuts, but it's like, who do you get that's an equal trade to James Harden? Kevin Durant coming back will help. I stand by, you can't beat all 3 of them. But in the meantime, I don't know. And I normally have an answer or rebuttal for everything, but I don't know what to tell you. If James Harden's only scoring 4 points, if he's ending up with more turnovers than points, that's just not factored into my probability board. I don't know what to say at that point. But let me know your thoughts. What do we do? What do we do now? Because with the whole Kyrie thing, there's options. Kevin Durant, just wait till he's healthy. I don't know what to do with James Harden. All we can do is hope that he eventually wakes up and decides to participate. And if this is just him pouting because he doesn't want to be with us, you and Paul Millsap can share the same bag and get out of here, for all I care. Because again, this is not a reflection on Nets Republic. This is strictly Sever the Bond saying this. I never wanted you anyway. You bum.